Welcome to this podcast, Holistic Creators, where we share our unique and universal stories about shaping the future for the 4 Ps: people, planet, purpose, and profit. My name is Swanette. I'm a mental coach and your host of this show. My intention for this show is to inspire you on your path to a holistic future. So welcome. Welcome to my podcast, Holistic Creators. My name is Swanette and I'm your host. Today I have a very special guest. His name is Dr. Sundardas Annamalay. He's a multiple award-winning entrepreneur, best-selling author, strategic business mentor, professor of natural medicine and natural medicine practitioner. Dr. Sundardas creates a $1 million designed life formula after working with more than 15,000 individuals from more than 30 countries. He has shared the stage with some of the most successful entrepreneurs, thought leaders, and executive coaches like Bill Walsh and Robert Kiyosaki, to name a few. His client list includes some of the leading Asian actresses and entertainers, diplomats, ambassadors, some of the richest families in Asia, the Middle East, India, and members of the royalty of Malaysia. Organizations include Goldman Sachs, IBM, as well as Southeast Asian government bodies like the Ministry of Defense and Education, Singapore, as well as the Ministry of Health in Thailand. Dr. Sundardas has helped companies in the wellness area generate more than 25 million in sales by strategic technical positioning. He has worked with diverse industries such as healthcare, engineering, shipping, architecture, restaurants, fresh products, produce and health food, fashion, copywriting, and public relations in the areas of peak performance, personal branding, and strategic management. As a physician, he specialized in gut-brain issues and autism. So welcome to my show.
Thank you, Swanette, for the opportunity to be here.
This is really already so amazing to hear about what you're doing and in all the different areas you're working. So let us know a little bit about your story. So what happened to you that you started to become this professional that you are now?
I was born with congenital birth defects. They started surgery when I was 6 months old because before that I couldn't eat, right? They had to rebuild my face. By age 4, I was autistic. By age 6, I was hearing handicapped, speech disabled, brain damaged.
Okay, so you're coming from...
just that I didn't know how bad it was.
Yeah, you're so really coming from history, being very sick and having surgeries and being in hospitals as a child. And I think that was really, for a little child, a very impressive moment and yeah. So can you tell me a little bit more about how you felt at that age? So what were your thoughts about yourself, about life?
Autistics don't do touchy-feely stuff. So that's the benefit. We don't understand the whole range of emotions. So many of the things that would be overwhelming to somebody with a normal emotional response don't mean anything to us. So my whole thing was, I wanted to win.
You wanted to win your life?
Yeah. And so I didn't focus on what I couldn't do. I focused on what I could. And one of the most important things was not being able to watch TV much because I couldn't hear. So I started reading, which meant that by age 12, my reading capacity was that of a 16-year-old. So I could read, I could write. I didn't speak very well. And my nervous system and physical reflexes were below normal because of all the other damage. Moving forward, when I was about 14, my mother died, and I knew that my childhood had ended. And at that point, I made a decision to, you see, you can make two choices about life. When it's really, really bad, you can make two choices. You can either decide that A, your life is out of control, there's nothing you can do about it, in which case you either give in, give up, or end it. Or the other choice is, and it's totally not rational, right? But you need to come from a different space. The other choice is that somehow all these were choices you made. Another part of you made them, and therefore there was something to learn. And that's the choice I made at 14. That I was in charge of my life, and that all of these were learning opportunities.
Wow, this is amazing. Already at the age of 14, making such a decision and taking over your responsibility for your life. Most people fear that they are kind of a prisoner of their life, so that they don't, like life is happening to them and that they can't really make this choices, especially if they are in so to say bad situations, like they don't have enough money or they are in a bad health condition or something like that. They feel like they are trapped. So how could you how could you motivate yourself at this young age to focus on the good thing that what you said, what you already can do, and bringing in the power to really go for creating your life?
One of the things is, when you're autistic, you don't need to feel happy. You don't need much external validation. So those things don't count. So for many years, I didn't understand the need to be motivated from outside. It took me many years to understand that many people needed to be motivated. Because for me, it was like, I want something, I go for it. I just look at what price I'm going to pay, what resources I have, get real about it, and I go for it. And then I decide if I succeed or fail, and what is it that I got out of it, whether I succeeded or failed, and if I want to go any further.
Okay, this is one thing about having this kind of mindset on the one hand, but as you said, being autistic, like not being of having the feeling that you are dependent on your social system motivating you, but it comes really from inside. This feeling, okay, I want to go for something, and take the resources and then do it. But what about
and you don't get this, you don't get dissuaded by people because they're not in the normal status. If you're emotionally aware, you're connected to your environment, people tell you you're no good, you can't do it, and you get dissuaded. But when people told me I'm no good and I can't do it, my only question was, are they qualified enough to comment? So if you don't know enough and you comment, your words mean nothing to me. And I noticed after that anyone who was properly qualified wouldn't put me down. The people who put me down were those who were not qualified to comment. So it didn't matter.
Yeah, this is amazing. But for most of the people, they are not in the state because from early childhood on, they are influenced by their parents, the teacher, or the social community. And they hear words like, you're not enough, you can't do this, or no, be quiet, we don't care about you, you're not lovable, or whatever these beliefs are that they have been imprinted with.
So for autistics, it's about, are we safe? It's not about being loved. Are we safe? Is the world a safe place? Or is it a crazy place? So I came from a very traditionally religious family. I was 4 years old and my family was very religious. And I was 4 years old and I asked my grand aunt, who was very religious, if God is supposed to be everywhere, why do we pray in the prayer room? I was 4 years old. She slapped me. That didn't hurt very much. But if I was a normal individual, I would have felt I did something wrong. But since I was autistic, and I felt I asked her a reasonable question, and this was something that was really important to her. And obviously, if something's really important to you, you should be able to explain it to a younger person. If you can't, there is something wrong with your belief systems. So I felt sorry for her. And for the rest of my life, I was very, very cautious and skeptical about all religious systems. So the moment you have organized religion, I go, okay, that's your story, I'm going to find mine. So that attitude was actually useful because every authority figure I would question and challenge very quietly. And if they gave me the wrong answer, it just told me how incapable they were. So it started at 4.
Yeah, so
and I think that was what helped me steer.
Yeah, so asking questions and going deeper to get a clearer understanding about other people's ideas, mindsets, beliefs is really important. Like on the one hand, we can see like what actions they take, and on the other hand, it is what they tell us and what they have as beliefs and perhaps don't even live them. Yeah,
actually do. Yeah. So part of how I cope with life was I worked out a assessment system. You got a score of 1 if your values, if what you did and what you said was the same, identical. If it wasn't, you got a score of 0. And that started from the time I was 4 or 5. So it didn't matter whether what you did was good or bad. That didn't count. Were you consistent? So I would grade everybody on how consistent they were. And if you're consistent, I pay attention to them. If you're not consistent, I would just know, stay out of their way, because they were confused and they'll try and confuse me.
Yeah, so this means that already in the very early ages, you really had this kind of strategic mind as well. Like understanding, okay, this is not congruent, or no, there's a kind of disturbance between their actions and what they're telling me. So you can really, how to say, observe people and understand if this is really kind of a whole picture to understand this, right?
Well, I'm not sure I would use the word understand, more about were they congruent or incongruent. If they were congruent, then it meant that their behavior was predictable. If they were incongruent, their behavior was not predictable, and therefore it was very unsafe to be around them.
Okay, so understanding a little bit more about, you said you had a near-death experience at the age of 14. So can you...
that was about, my mom died when I was 14, so that was like one transformational period. Then when I was about 41, 42, I had a near-death experience. I was broken up with my first wife. I was single. I worked too hard, developed a very rare infection, rushed to hospital. My heart function dropped to 30%. And that's when I got a chance to like have a, what you call a life reset. And suddenly, when I was in the ICU, I had this breakthrough experience, this overwhelming sense of connection, and communicated with something bigger and larger. And that set the direction for the next phase of my life after that.
How does it feel being so close to death and feeling this amazing connection to the all existence. I for myself know this, as I had a near-death experience when I was 8 years old, but now most of people never had this experience, so they have no clue. Can you tell me a little bit more how this felt for you?
It was the happiest moment of my life. And it's really funny. So here I spent about 30 years meditating, doing retreats, studying mystical pathways, trying to make sense out of it. And so I was kind of kidding to myself when I was in that state, that all it needed was a near-death experience for everything to come together. But it sort of like provided me with a perspective of like the whole meaning of my life took a shift. So before that, I divided the different parts of my life and my business, as in, I ran a clinic for natural medicine and I did emotional work. I used to feel that the healing the body was the primary and the emotional work was the secondary before that. After that, I realized the primary work was working on the emotional and the spiritual, and the physical was just a backup. So it changed everything, changed all my communication, changed how I saw people, changed how I interacted, changed how I communicated, changed the kind of books I wrote, the way I engaged with people. And what happened when I had the near-death experience was I can't walk away from all my skeptical training, you see. So I reviewed all the literature about near-death experience. I think by about 25, I read about 15,000 books. I finished most of the literature about near-death experience, mystical experiences, mysticism from multiple systems by 25, 26. So I had all that background. And then I went on to do more research, right? So at that point, when the issues came up, the meaning of everything just flipped. And suddenly it was like, instead of we are physical beings with a spiritual existence, it became we are spiritual beings having a physical experience. And the difference is so huge, because after that it's like all the things that would mostly irritate me, annoy me, and I see people doing things which I think are not in their best interest. And then I have memories of all my past lives, of thousands of years of doing stupid things and taking the time to learn them. And so it's like every time somebody was doing something, it was like, okay, let me.
So wait a moment, the connection is broken. I can't hear you anymore. Oops, back again. Cool.
Yes.
So somehow you dropped out.
Yes, I did. Everything went poof at this end. So yeah, I got back in.
Yeah.
So I will just repeat that part about the near-death experience and how it changed everything, because before that it was more like we are physical beings with a spiritual part, and after the near-death experience it became we are spiritual beings having a human experience, and therefore the whole point of the experience was a journey. So everybody's got their own journey. They all have their own scripts. They all have their own commitments. They have a certain cycle of learning to do. So it's important that I be respectful of the journey, because along the way, with my own explorations, I had awareness of having almost 25 to 30,000 years of experience having different reincarnations and doing incredibly stupid things over and over again until I finally got it. So if it took me that long to learn, then let's give everybody the right to learn at their own time and their own speed to get it right when they're ready.
How can you understand about what is the life journey? So, of course, we all have our experiences in this lifetime. We have struggles. We have, like you, some moments that really give us deep learnings and feelings of we need to transform our perspective. And looking back into past lives, of course, we have, most of us have had some lifetimes, and okay, they're young souls. You are definitely an old soul, otherwise you wouldn't be in this journey, what you're doing now. But how can you understand, like looking in past lives, seeing your present lifetime, what really is the journey and what is it that you need to do right now?
Okay. I'll give you the shorter version and then I'll give you the longer version. The short version is about 25, 30 years ago, when I started doing past life work, we started seeing that we're repeating themes or motives, okay? And then I got involved in NLP and hypnosis, and I got involved in helping people do what we call maximize your performance and all of that. We found that when you didn't have emotional blocks, then when we do some NLP work to maximize your performance, you don't have a problem. If you have an emotional block, then it wouldn't work. So that started me on another tangent to discover the underlying patterns for these emotional blocks. Okay? So we came up with a profiling system. We ran that profiling system for 20 years. So when you look at a profiling system, the profiling system looks at the fundamental childhood blocks that you get in the first 7 years. But those fundamental blocks are actually a summary of all your multiple past life issues reflected here. So it's a report card of your major challenges in life. Okay, but we don't always tell people that. We just tell them it helps them work through that blocks. Then I worked out a way to wipe it out. Once I worked out the way to wipe it out, we then ran over 20 plus years of watching people do it and watching them move. So that's one piece, right? You're working through your early childhood programming, which is a reflection of your previous life. Second, if I were to give you a metaphor for how I see this, I think of our lives like as if we're coming to do a course of studies, like going to university to do a degree. Okay. The aim is, before you do the degree, you work with your council of elders, which means before you come down into this birth, you work with a group of spirit guides, and you work with them, and you have certain outcomes to reach, certain debts to pay, things that other beings owe you, and you work out a profile. You, as this incarnate soul, decide how fast you want to do it. So the aim of the council is to make sure that you don't make it too easy and you don't make it too hard. Okay, make it just right. So some of them will go, I want to take it really easy, and so they may go really below, and then they say, no, that's too low. Others are in such a hurry, and you can actually look at those who are in a hurry because they happen to be preemie babies like I was. We're in such a hurry that we set the gradient as high as we can because we want to be done. Okay, so that's so when you look at your life, and you look at the things you hate, the things you love, the things you're drawn to, the things you're repulsed, and that's giving you a map of where you come from, right? My final perspective is that one of the issues that often comes up when people talk about past life is they talk about karma, and they talk about an eye for an eye. And we actually found in all our explorations and investigations that that's only part of the truth. That's just part of the story. The real issue is the judgments we make about ourselves and others create a karmic record. So something happens and you make a judgment about yourself. That judgment literally scars you. So my whole journey right now is to be as neutral as possible. So whenever something really disturbs me or plugs me, that's an opportunity for me to practice discernment and being neutral. And so there are things that I'm excited about. Those are ones that pull me forward. There are things that get me really angry, and those are the ones that are telling me this is what I need to work on and become neutral about. And between the two, it's about having a life.
So for me, it would be interesting how do you know about the past lives you had, or perhaps you can also read other people's past lives. How do you access this? How does this work?
We take people through a process where they access relevant areas. Okay, so we work with people on a one-to-one basis or in a group basis where they access the relevant pieces. So there are different approaches. There are those who have you do the whole, see a whole life. We just do the accelerated one. So we take people through processes where they work on the deepest, most significant blocks and undo them. So that's one piece. And then at the higher levels, we have a process where we help people design new future lives that will circumvent or deal with all the limiting stuff. Okay, so these are processes that I put together, and we work with people on a group basis. So that's one piece. The other piece is that part of my skill set when I'm working with people is to see what most deeply matters to them. And so some of that is because of the extensive training I've had in psychological work, hypnosis, and multiple personality profiling, plus. And so when I'm working with somebody and they are prepared to be honest enough, and I can't emphasize that enough because somebody can come in and say, oh, I want to know, but they don't really want to know. So when they're prepared to be honest enough, then they start to see what their real major life direction is, what they need to do to unravel it, and what they need to do to move forward. And then we work out, help them draw up a map. And they have a map of what to, where to go with it. So we have maps at different levels: basic, intermediate, advanced.
So they got an understanding kind of what has been their training in all their lifetimes, what is for right now, and then understanding about their soul path, so to say, where to go now, what to create in this lifetime.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's the work I do with about 10% of my clients, because that's all of them who are prepared to do that level of work. For the rest, we work with what they want to do: physical wellness, improve their fitness, get a bit more insight, be a bit happier, you know, wherever they are on their journey.
These 10%, how can you figure out if someone is really prepared to go so deep? Is that you need to be honest and really are interested in that? Are there some kind of things that they need to bring with them, or is it like you figure it out by going through the coaching with them?
Actually, what happens is like you come in and we tell them, okay, these are the things to consider, and they'll go, okay, I want to check that out. And as they're checking out, we find out they pretty much get clearer about how honest they are, how much they really want to do it. And then when they're really ready for it, then we offer them the next level and the next level and the next level. So we have a sequential process, and only when they're ready, then we offer them. Before that, they won't even know it's available. And I do that so that I don't get hassled. Otherwise, people get curious about things, you see, and I don't really want to deal with curiosity. Curiosity without the intent to take it further. It takes up too much resources.
What is one common thing these people have together? Like, do they really have a very special meaning in this lifetime, or they have a special soul purpose that is necessary to unfold right now? What is the pattern?
More often than not, what they do will often impact quite a few people. It's not just about their journey. Very often, when they are in that category or caliber, what they do ends up impacting quite a significant circle. And that's part of their journey, and that's part of the work they have to do.
Can you give me some examples?
Well, it could be a business owner who runs a multi-million-dollar company, and because of what happens to their lives, they end up impacting the lives of all the people under them. It could be a meditation teacher who is going to impact a whole bunch of students with the insight and the awareness. It could be a physician who is doing incredible work, but they've got emotional stuff and they're going to blow up and kill themselves. And so it's time to help them deal with that issue and move on, and then they can carry on to do their work and be impactful and save lives. And, yeah.
What is the bigger picture? So what are these people creating? What do they have in common?
They're all helping to move the world to the next level of this next spiritual evolution. Although you don't really see it on the outside, because all you see is the chaos and all of that. But actually, the world's changing and moving on to another place. And so all of them have a part to play in it. So
can you predict a little bit about the future that you can already kind of see or feel? What are we creating, like these old souls, soul paths, what are we creating?
Every time something new is going to be born, there are birthing pangs. Birthing pangs are often very painful, uncomfortable, and traumatic. Like COVID, it's birthing pangs. So all structures, frameworks, financial, emotional, economic, that are limiting will all start to fall apart. People who are not ready for the change, institutions, organizations will all fall apart. And out of that, you will have incredible creativity and possibilities that come up. It will also see extremes being highlighted so that people can make better choices. Because until you see the consequence of extreme behavior right in front of your face, you may not recognize where that behavior will take you. So if we actually look around us on the political, economic, and financial front, you see really, really a great range of extremes, the good and the bad and the ugly. And out of that, we are seeing a new world order emerged. Just to be clear, right? I'm not an optimistic person. I'm not like, oh, the glass is full. I'm the one of those, the glass is half empty. But even for me, I can see that we're actually moving on to a place where there's going to be more possibilities for development and growth. People will be forced to confront the deepest, darkest fears, which they already are. The COVID brought it all up. And to me, that is when you have the most learning and growth. Not in times of stability, peace, and harmony, although we all want that, but when you're challenged the most. And then you find out what it really takes for you to be at peace, what it takes for you to find your meaning and purpose, and what it takes for you to live the life that is yours.
Yeah, I totally agree. At the moment, what I see is, because on the one hand confronted with the fears of getting sick, about losing their jobs, like it's really the basis of their existence, and also being isolated from the family, from their friends. It's like they really have time to be with themselves, which means that they need to start reflecting about themselves, like having all this chaos outside, and this confusion and instability also brings up the values and the mindset you're running around with. So this becomes so clear when I speak with people that they're really confronted with themselves. And that now also people start kind of awakening, so questioning if reality I lived in, is it really the way I want to continue? Also seeing that more people start now coming together, supporting each other, like the wish of more social, coming closer to socially and supporting each other, creating communities, helping each other. You can see this already erasing at this moment.
And relationships that were all based on, I call it status quo, let's just stay with each other, a lot of it starts breaking up because the intensity of COVID highlights incongruences, hidden tensions, all the secret hates and fears, everything's magnified. So you see it in your face, and then you have a choice to make. Do you carry on this way, or do you move on?
If people are kind of confused right now and still having the feeling of being in fear or scarcity about what the future will bring, how can you help them yeah, to focus on what they really want to create, on creating this better future? What can they do?
Okay. The first thing is to look at what's working in your life and to be grateful and appreciative for it. Okay. And when you're really grateful and appreciative for what you have, then you see possibilities. And I'm not saying this as a platitude. I'm not saying this as a nice to have. I'm saying this as an actual business strategy. The last 1.5, 2 years, the people that both for my businesses and the people that I consulted for, this is exactly what we did. So I looked at what was working in my business. I looked at what were the biggest needs that people had that I wasn't addressing and addressed them. The people I was consulting for, either in the medical or engineering business, we had them look at, okay, become aware of what's not working, so don't do that. Then you look at your current clients and go to your current clients and ask them, what is their biggest problem? Solve it for them. And these are the people who then the businesses started changing around. The people they worked with, their businesses started changing around. In my community, by the way, the kind of business I run, at least 50 to 60% of the businesses in my community all died. They just went poof. Okay? We dipped a little bit, then we started growing again. And it's not because of what a wonderful practitioner I am. It's because I started looking at how could I be of service and what was the biggest need that wasn't being addressed. And constantly being appreciative for everything that worked. Because once it worked, we could then look at it and see how much better we could make it. And so I'm giving you the broadest lines, right? But if we don't talk about hundreds of hours we spend doing research, segmenting the market, talking to people, looking at problems that had always been there, but we hadn't focused on it enough, and working out micro details. So in the last 1.5 years, I've helped these businesses grow. We've launched new projects that I've been dreaming about for a long time, but I never had the energy or the bandwidth to do it. We actually launched it. We actually got it off the ground. In another 2-3 weeks, we're going to be going to another country to start creating expansion plans and all of that. And all of that happened because of COVID. Not in spite of COVID, but because of COVID. It was a great reset. And this new project that we are on is a project that will help with dementia, help new families, help aging, graceful aging, build new communities. So I'm really, really excited about it. And it's something that will also help people improve their physical, emotional, and financial status. And so a group of us came together because all of us felt this was a time of possibility and opportunity. And you know, speaking from a financial perspective, there are a lot of people with a lot of money looking for good projects. And because of the situation, the money is all being held in private hands and in banking groups, and they're all waiting. The moment you have a good project, they're willing to throw money at you. But are you going to use this opportunity to create possibilities or obsess about what's not working?
Yeah, what do you think are the main topics, speaking about your project, that needs to be addressed right now? You said already, like, creating perhaps new businesses, also like people suffering from dementia, creating communities. So what are the main topics you could that these people with money, like these investors, would be interested in?
One of our new partners has got what we call Internet of Things, IoT projects, okay? So this means they can go to every major factory in the world and reduce their breakdown costs and reduce the number of staff they have to employ, right? So in other words, we can save the loss that the company will experience from anything from $100,000 to $500,000 a year. That's negative. I mean, not what you make, but what you don't lose, right? Then by improving efficiency, you can add another $500,000. That's one business. And then that set of IoTs can then translate to 25 different or 30 different industries. In all those industries, we will reduce costs, increase efficiency, improve the quality of life. So I'm just telling you that one, right? Then the other one is we now have protocols to help people slow down dementia. Slow down dementia, and improve what we call functional aging. So that's some of the research I've done. One of my other partners has created a machine that will literally recharge your biological battery. He spent 20 years of his life. So we are introducing all these new technologies in a group effort and we have lined up potential partners who are interested in investing in all of them. And so as a result of that, people who get involved in them will start employing more people. People who want to get involved in living in healthy homes and all of that will have increased chances. We will reduce the cost, reduce the incidence of illness, cancer, diabetes, heart disease. We will improve the financial status by building businesses and structures so more people can be gainfully employed. Reduce the aging and dementia status. And of course, if the idea spread significantly, we can then leave something behind which will carry on after my partners and I are gone.
So if they are now interested to come come in contact with you, are you working online, or is it that you work only in a certain area? So tell me more about this.
We have online programs and offline programs. We have clients in over 30 countries. So we have online training, emotional work, as well as consultancy, as well as medical services. So that's online and offline. So somebody can then say, okay, I want to work with you online. And so we have labs where they send the results. Then the results are sent back to us. Then we have online consultation, training programs, and then we can send you courier information as well as the appropriate products. Those who want to do emotional work, we have online training, assessments. So yeah, we've got both models, online and offline.
So if people want to work in person with you, where are you located at the moment?
I'm located in Singapore, and there are two major websites that they can get in. There is the clinic website, which is www.sundardasnaturopathy.com, and then there is the other business website, which is www.drsundardas.com. If you go to drsundardas.com, you will get access to all the other websites, because it's like, okay. Then the other one is the clinic website, and that's for clinical services.
Okay, so I will definitely put the links down in the description. And I've seen that you also have a free giveaway for our audience.
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit more about this?
One of the things we found was, after I worked with like 15,000 people, we found that some people would take my work and they will run with it and they'll get fabulous results. Others would take it and they keep coming back and having to repeat it and they struggle with it. And it took me a while to understand what was the difference between the two. So after 20 years and 15,000 people, I wrote a book called Life by Design, which is to look at the fundamental structures you needed to do so that you could get the right skill sets to be able to design your life to go in the direction you want. And so the free gift is an overview of the whole process. And that's like a summary of my life's work and research and all of that done in such a way that you could complete reading that whole thing in 3 hours. Then if you wanted more, yeah, there is more stuff.
Wow, this is amazing. Thank you so much for giving us this wonderful free giveaway. And I'm sure my audience will be totally inspired, not only by this interview, but also going deeper, reading this giveaway. And then, of course, seeing your links and reading your book. And so I'm really interested by myself to go more deep into what you're already told. And yeah, so I was inspired by this interview already. So thank you so much for being my guest.
You're most welcome. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, speak to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening or watching my podcast, Holistic Creators. If you want to know more about how I can help and support you, have a look at my website, spiritualchangemaker.com. You can also join my Facebook group, Spiritual Changemakers Community. Stay tuned for the next episode by subscribing to this channel. And you also can check the previous episodes.